covering trades I took on EU and New York Open. I've already rewounded price to New York Open here, so we'll discuss London briefly and what we could expect for New York. Starting off, we'll go on the hourly quick to kind of get a idea. Here we go. So we have this green line indicating last week's open and last week's close. Okay, so we have high of the week up here, low of the week down here. Price has taken out this structural point, trapping sellers, and we've been moving bearish ever since, right? So it was later in the week that we had the move start. Big move to the downside, sweeping some internal liquidity here, respecting this low, okay, a little pullback, mitigation at the highs, and a continued sell-off on Friday, okay? And now the new week opens up. Again, we have last week's low here. We can actually mark this out as last week's, low. Okay, so last week's low here. Cool. Where else can we see price heading to? Well, now you can see price here has respected this low to the left. And if you look over to left here, we also have essentially relative equals and a nice 1 hour imbalance right below, which I do have my eyes on. So we'll see what happens the following week with this area, because right below we do have a liquidity block here. Okay, now we'll discuss further in the video what I believe can happen for the future, but these are some areas to have marked on right now, right? Lots of liquidity tucked below this 1 hour low here. And then of course this low over here, right? And is that it? Yeah, okay, cool. So hopping into the 15-minute, now we'll have day opens and closes marked for us here. So you can see Friday's high, Friday's low, last week's low here. Go on to, actually we can mark this out here, but you can see Friday, big sell-off, taking out a low here, inducing, mark this actually with this one, inducing sellers in the market, right? Ideally, we do not want to be selling anywhere below this high, okay? And you can see how price, look at the buildup of liquidity we've now gotten on the way up here, okay? Asia low left intact. Asia high, we printed, took it. So look all the liquidity we now have lying to the lows. So just picture the amount of buyers that are getting in this market, right? Structure here, their entries, another one, entries, right? So all of this whole channel kind of play, you have relative equals here. All of this tells me there's a ton of buyers in the market. So I do want to see liquidity taken here or here. Reason why I like this one a little more is it's because it's previous daily high. It's Friday's high, okay? I believe if you go on the daily here, see how we have a nice daily imbalance? So maybe a spike above, and then we can attack last week's low, right? That last week's low we have marked out here. Hopping on the hour again, or actually, sorry, we'll hop back to the 15. So I did want price above this high at the least, but in order for a higher time frame move to occur, I do want it above here, okay? For that higher time frame confluence. But we'll mark out this high because you can see price is building liquidity nicely at it right here. Sellers induced here, lots and lots of liquidity is going to be tucked above this high here, right? So that's why I got that one marked out. Cool. And again, I rewinded price in New York Open here. So we'll discuss what can happen. Price has now taken out this high, gives us a little pullback, comes down to the extreme, it moves away again. Nothing of interest right now. I would want to see price below, ideally here for the higher time frame move. But since we have now engineered liquidity above this high, right? Price comes up, respects it, runs away. What do we have at the low here? A nice inducement low and a nice liquidity block. So first, what I wanted to happen was respect the highs, price comes down. Jeez, excuse me, guys. Sneezing over here. Oof. That's the last one. Cool. So price comes back down. I did want to see maybe a little build up here, then a run of that, tap into the liquidity block, run the inducement low, and then attack those highs. Okay, so that's what I wanted to occur. Unfortunately, price never gave it to us. Look how we even take this high out, and then we get another false run to the downside. So I believe this was the time, yeah, 8:30. So this is when I was thinking that we could run this inducement low. Look how we come right to it and run the other way. So no entry on this long, unfortunately. We end up taking out the highs. Now what does that tell me? Well, buyers are induced, right? And they have like their leg from right here to here essentially. So now I want to see price below here. Okay. Now keep an eye on the time as well. It's 8:50. So I'll give you guys a little something I've been doing lately. So 9 a.m. for me, 9 a.m. for me is a 4 H4 closure. Sorry, can't speak. H4 closure, meaning it's kind of giving it away here already because replay sucks, but is an H4 closure, which tells me when the next candle is forming, I have to rewind it back to 5 a.m. so don't give it away. But now when the next candle is forming, we're going to have a closure, and then this is going to be, can I, see, I don't even know if I can show you guys this on replay, but it's become a mess now. Okay, so I'll just try and explain it with the, on the lower time frames. But 9 a.m. comes along right here. Okay, so which means now the 4 a.m. 4-hour candle, geez, I can't speak, 4 H4 candle closes, and we have a high of the H4 candle being 9 a.m. So right here would be the H4 candle low and the H4 candle high. Okay, so something to keep an eye on is when we closed at 9 a.m., now we have this low being a structural point for buyers to be buying from, right? Since we've now taken out this high, buys coming out of here, buys coming out of here, which tells me lots of liquidity is going to be tucked below this low. It also lines up with an H4 low. So as another confluence as price can come down, maybe induce at the low first, trap buyers, take the H4 low and immediately take H4 high. Okay, so that was something I was looking at. As for the liquidity standpoint, again, we're going to have lots of liquidity tucked below this low here because since we've taken out this high, okay, buy stops have been activated. So breakout traders have now been activated in this trade. They're going to have stop losses tucked above this low, and now on the pullback, this is where buyers are going to be getting in, right? If they get in here, their stop loss is going to be tucked below this low, okay? If they get in down here, stop loss is going to be tucked below this low. So lots of liquidity now tucked below here. I ideally want to see price below there, okay? Now, staying on the 5-minute, build a liquidity up here, no problem. We get a pullback to the extreme and nice sell-off. Now we're approaching this low. Look how we stall for a bit, inducing buyers, trap them, and now we take them out. Now we're coming back to that inducement low point we were talking about before. What you have to expect here is most likely going to be a false reaction, which it's given us, and then a continuation back down to the lows, okay? So this was a valid area for a reaction, but it's just going to end up being false, and it's not going to be that higher time frame move we're looking for, right? Again, since we've taken out this low, or sorry, this high, buyers induced, these are all going to be used as traps. This area, this area, this area, all that's going to be used as traps, okay? Next 5-minute candle comes, goes lower, stalls for a bit, and finally takes out the low. So my first entry, everything's happened that I've wanted to happen. We have a ton of liquidity left to the upside now. My first entry was taken as soon as we took the H4 low. Just an extreme entry. I did open my stop a bit to like 5-6 pips. Something you guys don't need to do. I was just very confident in the direction. Remember, direction is what pays the profit. Sometimes you don't really even need the most perfect entries. So this is my entry here. Again, opened up the stops below the lows in case we wanted to take out any of these lows. But I do believe we will leave them for when we take out the highs. Now we'll have liquidity to the lows, right? So kind of just thinking ahead here. But my first entry taken here. Now, next entry is going to be taken when we see a more confirmation base. So I was staying on the M5. And then I see a closure above previous candle. Let me get rid of this so we can see it a little clearer. This is now our liquidity block. But the problem is, it is a little more of a bigger one with your stop to the low. So look, if we have our stop, or sorry, our target at the highs, it's only at 1 to 2.5, and I ideally don't like taking trades with this low of a risk to reward. So I did wait for it to come a little deeper, and surprisingly, I actually got tagged in at the ultimate low of 308. And now it makes sense RR wise. I do want to be taking trades at least minimum 1 to 3. But yeah, again, I have an extreme entry down here. Sorry, 5 pips. And targeting the highs as well. So extreme, pullback, aka more of a confirmation based entry, and then just absolutely ran to target quite quick, to be honest, right? This only took 30 minutes from the extreme, and then only 15 minutes from the pullback entry. Okay, so overall, very clean trade. Again, look how simple this can be sometimes. Sellers getting induced at the highs, right? Look how the price sells off, gives them their false break of structure down here. Even more liquidity is now going to be tucked above this high. We simply target that. Okay, let me get rid of all these drawings now so we can see where we're at. Current price. Okay, so we've taken out this high, but we've left the daily high. So that's of interest to me. What can happen now? Well, we have lots of liquidity at the lows. So is it impossible for us to come down and take the lows out? No. We're definitely gonna have to see what tomorrow holds for us. Like I said, I want to keep an eye on this high. That's that daily imbalance as well. But since we've built liquidity at this high and taken it out, is it impossible for us to sell off from here? It isn't. But yeah, well, time will tell. We'll see what London and New York has for us tomorrow. Also, what I wanted to see was if we did take out daily high, now that tells me buyers are induced. We can see a trap at the low, okay? That higher time frame trap. Take them all out. Grab the liquidity from this low, mitigation of this liquidity block, and maybe that will be the catalyst for us to go long on the higher time frames. Okay, not attacking these lows. So that's something else to keep an eye on. We'll see. I'm not too convinced of that yet. So, like I said, well, it's only Monday, so we're gonna have to see what the rest of the week holds for us. Okay, but quick trade today in New York, long from lows to the highs. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this case study, and I will see you guys in the next one.